Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to do the Space Garter Ridge Easy Blanket. This is exactly what you see here. And this easy level blanket requires you to have 5 balls of Bernat Alizé Blanket Easy yarn. So this is our easy one to do. It's a combination of the stocking knit stitch and the garter stitch worked out so that it creates a really strategic look. It's really quite a fun and fabulous and easy project to do, and it's exactly what the yarn promises. It's easy. So I have a little cheat sheet for you, which I'll tell you about next. So here's my little cheat sheet. So we're gonna do a set number of loops. It's 62 for this particular blanket. Of course, if you change the size and make it bigger or smaller, you change the quantity of the yarn. Now if you make it bigger, I don't know what the combination would be in order to tell you how many more balls you're gonna need. So what I have here is, because it's any stitch of combination, you can just do it any size. So I'm just doing a mini sample for you today. So what we have is that we're gonna get started, and we start off with our tail on the one side. So we're gonna start off with our tail over here, and then we're gonna just get the number of loops. So in this case it'll be 62, and then we start doing our easy knitting back in order to cast on. Now when we do the second row, I have the arrows that we're going in that direction. So you're going to go F, 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 and that means that you're working in the front of the project, taking the yarn from the front to the back. And then when you come across on the third row, you're going from the back to the front, back, 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 back. And then the fourth row is from the front again, and then the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9 is all in the back. So really the garter ridge that you see is appearing here and here, and then there's a whole nice line of stocking knit stitches in order to give it a good separation. So this is an easy pattern to be able to maintain. You're going to repeat then rows from 2 to 9 over and over again until you get to 51 inches high. Once you get to 51 inches, you're going to repeat number 2 through 5, and then that will finish off your blanket quite nicely, and then you're gonna do a bind off, which we have a tutorial for in our collection as well. So without further ado, let me show you how to get started, and then I'm gonna show you as we do rows number 2 through 9 in order to get you started. So if you've not seen the yarn yet, this is the Bernat Alizé Blanket Easy yarn, and it's beautiful and it's got a lot of loops. All the loops are very strategic, so if you pull out a strand here, you can see that the loops are dangling like a clothesline in like when you're doing your laundry. So it's really quite easy to work with, and once you get started with this, I think you're going to love it. So when you take it out of the ball band, look at this. Isn't that the size of a cute little dog? So you have a really big, beautiful, so you're gonna wanna work from the outside of the yarn into the interior. So you don't wanna try to feel for the in middle, because good luck on that. So just work from the outside, and you'll see that it goes really quite amazing. So let's get ourselves started. I'm going to use the gray yarn just to make it easier for you to see the stitches, and let's begin. So you're going to notice that these start with the loops immediately from the outside of the ball. So what we want to do is that we want to release 2 of these loops from the hold. So when you're looking at this yarn, this is the same yarn strand going up and down, and it's just kind of like tacked in order to do it. So they're tacked individually. So if you release one loop, nothing else will follow it on you. So in order to release the loop from that tacking, all you just have to do is just grab your scissors and just glide it up so it looks like a horseshoe, and just glide it up in the interior like this, and go and snap. So never do a cut in the middle of the loop, because then you're gonna ruin it. So release 2 of the loops from the hold, and this is your starting strand that you'll hide in later with the darning needle in order to just finish it off. So you're just gonna grab your darning needle and hide it into the work after. So now that you've done that, you wanna start with your yarn so that the tail is on the right hand side. So we're gonna start with that. So you just have to count a number of 62 stitches. So once you get that done, you get it all organized, and then you're gonna have all your loops in the upper direction. So it's like a horseshoe, and you're gonna have that done. So in my case, I'm only gonna do a sampling of 6 stitches instead of 62. And again, if you want to change the size, you can do that for this one really easily. So as you count your stitches, when you get started right away, just give it a shake, and you'll notice that most of the loops will actually end up in the same direction. So in my case, I want to have them come up. So again, the right hand side is where the loose tail should be, and I'm only going to count 6, but you can do 62. Just kind of just pat it down, and you'll see that it will organize itself so that the loops are not twisting in any weird way. So let's get started. So I'm going to count 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this here is my mini project that I'm going to do. You'll have 62. So let's cast on, and to cast on we're going to go in the other direction using the next loop available to you. So the easiest way to use this yarn is have the yarn strand go on the top here so that it will scoop into the project. So starting on the very next loop, what I want you to do is just push it through the first one from the back side. So just grab the next loop, okay, and the next one here, and just pull it through from the back to the front. So whenever it says BBB, then it just means it's going from the back to the front. So the back is where it's going to start. So you're going to do that all across your 62. And now when I first started playing with this, I wasn't doing something at the very end of each of the rows, and it was causing me some conflict in the future. And the conflict is that things weren't looking really great. So what you have to get in the habit of doing is that after you pull from the back to the front the whole time, is that, see how it kind of looks unorganized? Just take your fingers, because it's just a small sample right now, but it'll get much bigger, and just pull. You can't pull any loops out that don't belong there. So because it's sewn together, it'll only pull up to where it's sewn on the actual strand. So you're gonna pull up. Now you see how this one is kind of like leaning up? So when you pull, make sure you take out the twist. Now twisting stitches is something that can be done, but it's not done in this project today. So you're just gonna pull up, and this pulls the slack that is in the loops. So everybody's project will be the exact same size because it's the loop that dictates the size of the stitches. So now we're going to get officially started with row number 2 all the way through 9. So let's begin row number 2, and you'll come back to this part of the tutorial if you need to. So number 2, we're going to go F, 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 so we're gonna go from the front side. So the best thing to do is to get the yarn that is leading to the ball and just put it in front of the project. Just lay it down, and what you're going to do is you're gonna scoop it away from you, capturing the loops that are in there. So go to the next available loop, okay, do you see that? So it's the next available, and just push it from the front to the back. And then take the next one. See how if it's lying on top of the project, you can just kind of just turn it over and push it in. And you're gonna do that all the way across. So we're achieving our garter stitch look as we do this. And you're gonna see the ridge is gonna start forming as soon as we're all the way across. So that was number 2. And of course you want to go there. So I know that I have 6 stitches, so after you've done, just pinch down and pull. And make sure these loops don't have any kind of twist to them. So just kind of look for it and help it if you need to. And you have your 6 in. So that was row number 2. Row number 3, we're gonna go back in the other direction, and in the other direction we're gonna come from the back. So move the strand up so it scoops into the project, and grab the very next loop available, and coming from the back side, pull through. And once you do the first back side, the rest of them are all in line. So as you're getting used to the project, you will get used to where these loops are. So when I was first playing with it, sometimes I would miss a loop, but now I've actually been playing with it for 3 days, and I'm really quite excited about it because I'm expecting the loop to be at a certain space because I've gotten used to the project. So when you're initially starting it, it's kind of easy to leave a loop behind, and you will notice that if you turn over the project. Do you notice that I have not turned the project over at all? You don't turn the project over at all. You keep it working and looking at the good side all the time. So just turn it over. See, there's no loops that are hanging out the back, so it means I've gotten every one so far. And once you get all the way to the other side, just go back and make sure that everything is looking decent. So how would you know if a loop is turning over? So if it looks like that and then you do this, it's got a twist, so it doesn't want to stay. So just make sure that when you pull, it wants to stay in a correct motion. So that was row number 3. Okay, row number 4 is back again, going from the front. So you're gonna take your yarn and you're gonna put it on top of the front of your project and grabbing the next loop and push it from the front to the back. So that's why it's got F, 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 F all the way across. Just like that. So you're just pushing from the front to the back. So the more you easy knit, the faster it gets and the easier it gets, and it gets more predictable. So I'm on day 3 of actually playing with this stuff. So I'm actually gotten a lot faster at working with this, because originally in the beginning I'm used to crocheting so much that I have this crochet mentality that sometimes that is not the best thing for me. But this is a type of yarn that beginners can use. And so you see that you've just created the ridge once again. So rows number 5 all the way through 9, which is 5 of them, are all going to be from the back. So let's do row number 5 next. So let's do row number 5. Okay, so 5 through 9 is all from the back. So we're just gonna come around and just put the first one in. And what I like to do is put the first one in, then shift the yarn. I don't know why I like to do that secondary, but it's all just completely ready for you. You see how my hand is just in behind here? It's just getting that loop ready for me for my right hand as I go. So this is not a left or right-handed project, because you have to work in both directions of right and left and right. So that was row number 5. So we came in from the back, and again just give those a tug, making sure you take the slack, and then you're good to go for row number 6. Okay, number 6, we're gonna go back in the other direction. We're gonna go from the back. At this point, every time we've gone back, we've gone in the front, but we're gonna stay towards the back. Take the next available loop, stay on the back side, and then just keep working and scooping those in as you work across for row number 6. Okay, once you're across again, just tug. That was number 6. So you'll see how that one's still twisted. So when I pulled up, it wasn't sitting right. So it'll untwist itself as you pull. So let's go for row number 7. So number 7 is also coming from the back, and we're gonna go in the other direction. So getting the next available loop and pulling it through the first one. Don't forget that first one. Some of the stitches you actually skip that one, I found out in another tutorial. So we're just gonna pull through each one of those for row number 7. Of course you have a much bigger sample than I do, so you will take a lot longer going across your rows. Okay, so you're across, get every one of them, and then pull. Like that. Okay, let's continue then to row number 8. So row number 8, we're gonna go in the other direction, still continuing from the back side, and then just move it up over so it comes across, and then you can scoop it up. See, nice and easy. Okay, and then pull. And that was row number 8. So this is row number 9, the final before it starts repeating itself, and we go back to number 2 again. Again, we're gonna come across like that, and we just immediately start in the first one and just pick up. So some of you may be twisting your strands because it may be new for you. There's an easy way on this particular sample to fix that without having to frog your whole work. And frogging means, for those that are new to the yarn arts, that means to pull out. So it's like a frog makes the sound of ribbit ribbit. So instead of ribbit ribbit, it's rip it, meaning to pull out. So frogging is a slang. So you're just gonna pull up, and that was row number 9. So what happens is if I notice that there's a mistake down here, what you can just do is that if you follow it down, you can just take it apart. Okay, so you can just take only the part that you need. So let's just say there was a twist down there, so you've just taken it apart, and so then you can fix your mistake and then just re-put it back together. So if it was twisted, you can untwist it and then put it back together to get yourself back to where you were. The only time you really can't do that very effectively is if you're doing cabling, because there's other stitches that play with other stitches that make it kind of more complex. So you can just reverse yourself to get yourself back down. So we're going to just get you back started on row number 2. Number 2 is all the way back down here, so we do the ridges and then back. So this is front, back, front, and then back all the way again, and then front, back, front, and then back all the way. So to get started on row number 2, you just put the yarn in front of you once again, start the next one, go from the front to the back and pull towards the back side. So you're going to do this for 51 inches, and then you're going to repeat rows 2 through 5 only, and then you're going to do a bind off, which we have a tutorial for you if you need that as well. And the binding off is actually really quite easy, but I'm going to show you binding off right now anyway, just to make sure that you got everything that you possibly need. So we're just gonna tug, and then we're gonna do a bind off. To do a bind off, the yarn strand is over here. So what you want to do is that you want to bind off all the loops leading to where this is. So to do that, you take the first loop here and put this one over, and now you take that one and you put the next one through, and you gather them all the way to the other side. And then you remember how we released out those 2 loops right in the very beginning to create that extra yarn strand? So what you want to do is you want to cut your yarn strand in between the second and the third loop, and then you want to open these up, and then you want to feed this strand through this loop, and then use a darning needle and weave it in and out, and then you will finish off your project. And we have tutorials available on how to do that. So here's the back of it. So there's no loops hanging out of the back, so it means I got every loop along the way, and this is a really neat idea. So enjoy your easy blanket, and this is using Bernat Alize Blanket Easy yarn. Until next time, have a good one and enjoy.